It's time to sit back, relax, and listen to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life will inspire, motivate, and empower you. Live your best life now. Listen, learn, think, and decide. Change your attitude, change your life. And now, here's your host, Joan Herman.
Welcome to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. You're listening to us in your neighborhood from coast to coast and around the world. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Joan Herman, author, speaker, and your host. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life brings you interviews with some of the most inspirational and influential people in the world. It's our goal to educate and empower you so you can live your best life now. Thank you for taking time for yourself, and thank you for letting us be a part of your life. We have another great show for you today. According to today's guest, Dr. Todd Kashdan, accumulating emotions that feel good in the moment while avoiding unpleasant feelings is not the best strategy for living well. To be whole, you must be able to negotiate all that life serves up. Dr. Kashdan is the co-author of a new book, The Upside of Your Dark Side. Welcome, Dr. Kashdan. Thanks for joining us.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Doctor, in your book, The Upside of Your Dark Side, when you write about our dark side, what are you referring to?
So we're sort of referring to what society tends to deem as socially inappropriate or socially undesirable parts of your personality that we tend to devalue. And so we're not necessarily talking about something that's definitively dark, but something that you wouldn't prefer to feel. And part of us have been trained that way. So at one end is the obvious, which is uncomfortable emotions such as anxiety or guilt or embarrassment or envy. And less obvious is all of us have an element to our personality that's a little bit of narcissism, a little bit of selfishness or Machiavellianism, and a little bit of mindless as opposed to mindful activity. Every one of us has these elements to our personality, and every one of us has been given messages that you should focus on the opposite of what I just mentioned.
Doctor, we expend so much energy working to eliminate emotions like anger, guilt, regret, and anxiety. And sometimes in our attempts, we end up suppressing them and never deal with or utilize them. So why do you believe that people who are able to use the whole range of their emotions, both the positive and the negative, why are they the healthiest and often the most successful?
Well, it's a great question. It's more than my belief. It's actually me interpreting a large body of science. And so, for example, we know that after 9/11, when you study people in New York City for over the 6 months and the 1 year in the aftermath of who was the most successful in terms of the fewest mental health problems, the better social support network, 6 months, a year later, you find that it's not the people that experience the fewest negative emotions or distress in the aftermath of the Twin Towers going down. It's not people that were better at suppressing or concealing or hiding their distress from other people. And it's also not people that were the best at figuring out new ways of looking at the situation. Of course, I'm upset, but this is just temporary. I lost some very close friends, and I'm thankful that I didn't lose all of my family and friends. People that's what we call reappraisal, be able to change our view or perspective of the situation to make us less stressful. They weren't the most successful at 6 months or 1 year later. It was the people that were the best at switching off when the time required them to hide their emotions from someone, such as from their boss, that they were feeling downtrodden and they were in the middle of a business meeting. They were good at it. And when they were with their romantic partner who was disagreeing with them vehemently that they wanted to go for Chinese, not for pizza, well, they were able to help reframe the situation and kind of talk through it to kind of find a solution that satisfies both of them. The people that were able to switch off between strategies to make their lives better, the most agile people were the ones that were most successful 6 months, 1 year later. And we find this time and time again that being agile to switch off from one side of your personality to another tends to always trump being an extremely positive, optimistic person all the time.
So, Doctor, what are some strategies we can use to do that? How can we make that switch?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, this is all abstract until it comes to, well, what do you do? I mean, one of the things we know is human beings tend, especially men, tend to describe what they're feeling in really coarse ways. And so if you ask somebody on a Thursday in the middle of a work week, Or if it's, whether it's at work or it's a stay-at-home parent, and ask them, how's your week been going? If it's been bad or problematic, people say, I'm stressed, I'm upset, I'm having a horrible week. And when you describe your life in very coarse, abstract terms, you tend to be less successful at managing your emotions than people that are more nuanced and saying, I've been feeling a little bit nervous because I've had a lot of things that have had to push me beyond my comfort zone. Also excited, but a little bit of doubt as well. People that can describe their emotions and parse apart exactly what they're feeling. They're less likely to act out aggressively when they're angry, less likely to drink excessive amounts of alcohol when they're upset, and less likely to be paralyzed by fear when they're in public speaking situations. So one quick strategy is describe specifically the exact emotions you're feeling as opposed to relying on terms such as stressed and upset.
When we live in that constant state of stress, we tend to feel powerless. But in reality, we have so much power when we learn to tap into it.
Yeah, I think human beings, and I am no different than anyone else, tend to underestimate how resilient they actually are. I mean, I spent a year working with rape victims under the age of 13 for a year at the Medical University of South Carolina. And that something like that just changes your personality. And what I learned by working with them over a year, and I say learn because they taught me so much, is that by just applying the best of what we know about cognitive behavioral strategies in therapy and mindfulness techniques, within 6 months, these kids who had the worst thing happen to them, their bodies being violated before they even understood their own bodies. In 6 months, the majority of them ended up even better than how they were before the incident even happened. And we find that when you look at rape survivors, and I say this because it's emotionally difficult to talk about, and it can really illustrate the point. 6 months after being raped, we find that 50% of survivors end up exactly the way they were before it happened in terms of their psychological well-being, without any intervention with the therapist. It speaks of the idea that as human beings, we bounce back from stress, but we don't think we're going to do so. And because of that, we don't take the challenges in our life that we should be taking.
Doctor, from my own perspective, in my own life, the majority of my life was very easy. And in that easy period, I really was complacent and I didn't grow or develop much. And then I went through this period of 5 to 6 years of tremendous pain and loss. And it was really during that time that I was catapulted to do what I'm doing now. And it was during that time that I experienced tremendous personal growth and development. So I understand what you're talking about because I have experienced it in my own life.
I mean, I'm wondering if you can give a concrete example for your listeners so they can who's probably in the same situation that you've been in.
Yeah. A few years ago, during a span of a few months, my mother and my sister passed away 6 months from one another. My 23-year marriage ended. My oldest son left for college, and one of my dear friends passed away. So I went from having this life that I knew, that was familiar, that was safe, to being thrust into a life that I didn't know how to live, a life that was so challenging that there was even a time that I didn't want to live it because it was too hard for me to live it. And I was in a really dark place. And it was from that darkness that I have grown and really changed. And it's the reason that I'm doing the work that I'm doing now. It's my goal to be a conduit of information for people that are experiencing what I went through. And that's really what this show and this brand is all about.
You are an amazing role model, as you said, conduit to provide the insight to people so they don't have to necessarily go through all those incredible amounts of stresses that you went through. I think of this as you're talking and as I'm emotionally responding to what you're saying. When I think of happiness, I think of like a farmer. No farmer wants a perfect day of 75 degrees, sunny, and no chance of rain. And that's what it is about trying to be happy and optimistic every moment of our lives. They need rain. They need storms. They need gusty winds for seeds to pollinate. And they need varied seasons and varied weather so that their crops can grow. And it goes through the shifts of time in the course of a cycle of a season of getting food and making enough sufficient money for his family or her family. And in the same vein that a farmer needs varied weather and varied conditions, we need varied emotional experiences and varied situations that require us to be comfortable in our skin, outside of our comfort zone, push to the sheer limit of our skills and being challenged, being naive and knowing nothing as you walk into a yoga class for the first time, with a surfboard in your hands and going into the ocean for the first time, talking to someone about a business proposition where they know 400% more than you do, and being able to sit in that situation and say, I'm sorry, can you explain that? Because I don't know what that word is. I'm sorry, can you explain where my hands are supposed to go on the surfboard? I'm sorry, can you explain to me what my position is supposed to be in this yoga routine? Because I've never done this before. And that uncomfortable feeling, that awkwardness, that anxiety, that is the springboard to higher peaks if you're willing to be there. And I think most people, when they imagine it and anticipate it, they decide, hey, you know what, let me choose a route where I'm more comfortable, I feel more intelligent, and I feel stronger. And I guess the message I want to give is that the strong people are the ones that are willing to be the less knowledgeable, the less wise, and the less experienced person in the room. And that's an image I think people need to have of that's what courage looks like.
The book is The Upside of Your Dark Side by Dr. Todd Kashdan. If you would like to learn more about Dr. Kashdan, you can visit his website, toddkashdan.com. Doctor, in about 30 seconds or less, what would you like to leave our listeners with?
I think the most important message is that if we want to change our own well-being, and if we want to, as you're doing, Joan, with the show and with your own personal history, change the lives of other people, I think we need to see human beings as they are and not as we want them to be. And human beings inherently have this sense of these parts of the personality. We all do. We have these parts of personality that are a little bit uncomfortable and not so socially accepted. There's a part of us that is trying to figure out, should I be selfish or selfless? There's a part of us that should I be positive, or should I harness this anxiety I'm feeling? And my suggestion is that we allow ourselves to be a whole person that has all these different parts of our personality and start to learn what works best in what situation, as opposed to pushing to be the positive, appropriate person that everyone thinks we ought to be or should be.
Dr. Kashdan, thank you so much for being here today and for teaching us the importance of embracing the whole person and everything that we experience, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's all vital to growing stronger and moving forward. So thank you for that reminder.
Well, and thank you. I'm glad there are people like you in the world who are able to be these conduits of wisdom.
We'll be right back. Hi, this is Joan Herman, host of Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Did you know that Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life has a free monthly digital magazine that can be read online or emailed to your inbox? Every month, nationally recognized leaders in their field provide information to educate, inspire, and motivate you. We believe in a holistic approach to life, incorporating mind, body, and spirit. Check out a copy of Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life 24/7. Visit cyacyl.com and be sure to tell your friends. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you found the show informative. At Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life, we believe that knowledge is power. Take what you've learned, apply it, and live your best life now. Remember that the information provided are the opinions of our guests and should never replace the advice of a professional who knows your personal situation. If you'd like more information, visit our website, cyacyl.com. That stands for Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. While on the site, listen to past shows on demand, read the digital magazine, and be sure to follow the show on Facebook and Twitter. Until next time, this is Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in.